You're listening to Chem Stories, a podcast series created by people with lived experience of P&P chemsex.
Hey, sweet peas. This is Captain Patrice welcoming you aboard Chem Stories Airlines for our YYZ Balance flight. On this second Toronto departure, host Bradley introduces Brian, an experienced flyer who's approaching his 1-year anniversary of sobriety from crystal meth. Our flight plan forecasts a 2-part conversation about the challenges and rewards of recovery, Brian's ongoing commitment, the intersection of sex and addiction, and the role of community in finding balance. We'll be underway shortly, so please make sure to keep your hearts and minds open at all times. Keep your prejudices securely stowed, as this flight is a judgment-free zone, and prepare for takeoff. Should you experience turbulence while listening to this podcast, please visit our list of resources and services related to P&P chemsex in the episode description and on chemstories.ca. Thank you for choosing Chem Stories Airlines, where the journey is always a trip.
All right. So I'm going to introduce Brian, who is a wonderful guy. If I was going to ask you to introduce yourself, what would you want people to know about yourself in context of listening to this podcast on Chem Stories, right? What is it about you that sort of challenges the narrative of who we think somebody is?
How would I start? Okay. I think my story is relevant because I'm a bit older, and that's being generous. I'm a lot older. I've had a career, a good career. I have a lot of education. I guess you could say my life was probably very good. And I literally threw it all away for drugs and the partying that went along with the drugs. And at the very beginning, I thought, what have I done? And then it was like, no, wait, if I liked everything as much as I thought I did, I wouldn't have thrown it all away. Now that I've been sober for a while, I have to evaluate what was the cause of me using. What was the cause? What allowed me to throw it all away so easily and so quickly? I wouldn't have said this 6 months ago or 2 years ago. I would have been a bit embarrassed. I've been using I used for 8 years. I was a non-addict, occasional user for 6 years. And that's a wink, wink, by the way. And then I was introduced to injecting, and away I went. I lived for and with injecting for over 2 years until I decided I had enough. And I started on the journey to find a solution and ways to quit. And I managed to, with difficulty, it was a long journey, but I got sober. I am still sober. When I started looking for help, it was hard. I'm arrogant. I didn't think I needed help until I did. And then I thought, well, this is Canada. We have all this amazing medical out there. And then I started looking and it wasn't all that amazing. It was hard to find. I found kindness and I found respect, but it was very difficult to find. Like I said, the first physician I talked to said that because I was an intravenous drug user, I could be kept comfortable. But it was unlikely at my age I could be cured. Cured being a full sobriety. Luckily, I didn't believe him. I mean, if you can quit smoking, which took me years to do, I can quit meth too. I had no idea how hard it was going to be. I had no idea that it was going to interfere with my sex life, my social life, how I view the world. The one thing I have discovered is I like the world better. I went down a rabbit hole that I think I had to go to. And because I went to it, I met these amazing people. Some of them were in this room. That have taught me more than I've learned in years. And I go to CMA meetings and I chair those meetings and I meet people struggling with sobriety and seeing the benefit of sobriety in 3 weeks and 4 weeks and 6 weeks. I know someone in the groups has lost his job and he's just an amazing man. And because he lost his job, he's had to find a new career that he likes. Hopefully he'll like better. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you look for a silver lining, you'll probably find it. And I think sobriety...
It's a choice.
Yeah, sobriety has taught me that.
Yeah, it's how you make meaning of it. Yeah. That's one of the things I like about the work that I do and that we do is that we get to make meaning of stuff. Like we get to listen to something and make meaning of it. And we can make any kind of meaning. And I just think that that is such a great skill, and also that we all have as humans. And also it's such a great opportunity to remind ourselves that our lives are like we construct them.
I think if you've used and you're struggling with sobriety, I think it is the one time in your life you probably have more control than you've ever had.
I think that scares people.
It's terrifying. It's terrifying for me. And I'm crawling on a year sober. And I'm on my bad days, when depression takes over, or the fear of I don't have enough money because I blew it all, or whatever the case may be. Or what if I age out and can't ever find someone else? Even though my little brain says that's not true. I mean, there's someone out there for everyone, even for old faggot stories. If I was still using, I'd be lost in that. It would have been a pit I would have crawled into and never crawled out of. Now I crawl out of them quite quickly. I'm enjoying the groups I've met, the people I've met in those groups, the social life I've found because of my use is actually probably better than what I had before. Because but I also had to look for it. Nobody brought it to me. I did a little thing a little over a year ago. It was the bizarrest thing. I joined a little book club.
Did you?
I did.
Is there a lot of homosexuals there?
There were a few homosexuals there. Yes. I was shocked when I walked in. These men actually read books.
Audio,
just audio, yeah. And they came from the porn section in the back with the dark rooms and the little doors. And I thought, what the hell have I done? I've joined a book club. Jesus. And now every Sunday I see this book club. And after that, we do a brunch. And it's been an amazing experience. And I meet people in that room now that call me friend, who say how much I help them on their journey. You can't get better than that. I mean, what I couldn't find when I started this journey, luckily I can now try and give to someone else. I mean, I've seen most of them today from, in the last week, almost everybody from that book club I've met this week at one point or another. Yeah. And that's really nice.
I love that.
Yeah, that's really nice. We meet people along our journey, and it's very hard. I know what it's like for everybody else. For me, it's always hard. I've had a few very good friends, and that's it.
Mm.
When I met somebody, my addiction was pretty heavy then. I met someone in full addiction, and him and I went on a whirlwind tour of jumping off a cliff. And I started pushing my friends away, especially my normie friends, straight friends. I pushed them further and further away because they weren't coming with me where I was going. And I hung on to this man that made sense of my world, of the chaos that drug use brings. And he made it sexy and fun and hot again. And it was very, very difficult to look at my straight friends and actually tell the truth anymore. Their world was so foreign to me. It has no relevance anymore. I mean,
did you find them again?
I have. Yes, I have. And someone said that in one of the groups I was in, they said some of their friends have said, no, we don't want to be part of your new journey. And they were upset about that. I thought, you know what? I think the friends who don't want to be part of your new journey probably shouldn't be part of your new journey.
Absolutely.
It's not a criticism of them. It's just a new journey sometimes needs new friends. And if you only want the old friends back, you sometimes miss the new friends that are waiting for you. And look at friends from the perspective of, could you call this person when you're having a bad day? If the answer is yes, then they're your friend. Would you answer the phone if they called on a bad day? Then you were their friend. That is what friends in sobriety are, I think. It's a very, very important. Don't ask too much of your friends because they can't always give it. And don't give more than you can give because you're not going to be able to keep doing it.
Which leads me to, it feels like a really good segue to your 1 year anniversary of not using meth.
Thank you.
Which is huge.
Terrifying, yes. Mm-hmm.
And you asked me to speak at it.
Yes.
And I think that there's something so wonderful about being someone who uses drugs, loving someone who is going through sobriety and being able to support them 100% in all the ways that I can. And I'm in no ways perfect. It's something that I need to be better with because connection is the path to community. And you said that community is the opposite of addiction.
Yes. I'm going to take credit for it, but someone...
I give you credit for it.
Thank you. A counselor told it to me, and it was, of all the things I've learned in the meetings I go to, the groups I go to, it provided me with a community. CMA does that, which is Crystal Meth Anonymous, NA, Narcotics Anonymous. I personally don't go to AA, but I certainly would if there was one near. They followed my many, many different classes at HQ in Toronto. It's for gay men. They have mental health issues, deal with mental health issues, addiction issues, or STI testing. It's an amazing little facility. I went there. They were my road to starting recovery. They have a program called Method. It's the doctor there is actually looking at the mix between meth and sex for gay men. One of my very first forays into psychiatry was he said, "I'll deal with your addiction, but I won't deal with your sex.
Yeah,
Well, they're the same thing. You can't take one away without they're the same thing." And at HQ, they know that. So, and part of this program is to teach us how to rebuild our sex life, how to look at it differently. I've had sex high for almost a decade. The idea of doing it sober is absolutely terrifying. I'm not near as pretty sober as I am high.
Lighting. It's all about
lighting. It's all about lighting. Yeah.
And scars.
Yes, lots of scars. Yeah. Yeah. Turn those lights down and shut the drapes.
Yeah.
So it was really nice when I started this. It was somebody actually went, "Yes, you're right. We can't deal with your addiction, not your sex life, or vice versa." And all the amazing things I've learned in there, like needs analysis and all those wonderful things. The things that stuck with the most were one of the counselors said, "You have to spend 80 hours with someone to develop a friendship." And I think, I'm a meth head. 4 hours max and you're out the door.
80 is a lifetime.
80 is a lifetime. And I asked questions about it, and it was nice to know that if you've seen someone 3 times and you're still not sure, you're allowed not to be sure. You have not spent enough time with someone to decide whether you want them to be your friend. And if you don't want them, that's fine too. I have lots of people to call me if they need me, and I will meet them. I'll walk with them. I have a little dog. He'll happily walk as long as it's not raining, windy, or it's cold. He'll happily walk. But no, they're not going to ever be my friend. But they don't have to be my friend. They don't need me as a friend. They need me there if they need help. And that's more important. When I first decided I needed help, the only people I had to ask were other users. And I had as amazing a number said, "Well, you can't get sober. There is no getting sober from meth. You can cut down, you can try what I would call now harm reduction." I thought, well, that can't be right. And then I met medical professionals. And some were good, some were, meth is very hard. You'd be very lucky if you can get, some sober time. And then I came to the conclusion, the only person who's going to get me sober is me. No one else. No doctor, no NA meeting, no nothing. So I had to figure out how I was going to do it. Well, HQ gave me the knowledge and ways to help myself get myself out of the mess I was in, stop using. I had this conversation earlier today. I wish I could sort of combine the medical field and NAs, the 12-step groups, and say, okay, everyone has to first do them medically, take the groups, learn how and why you use. There's lots of reasons. Maybe there's trauma. Maybe there's avoidance. There's 100 different things. Maybe you think you're not pretty, but you're prettier in math. There's a million reasons. Because once you're done with the medical end, like all the groups, the CRAs and the CAMH groups and the St. Mary's groups, which are all absolutely amazing, then you move into the 12-step, which gives you the community that you didn't get in the medical field. They're done with you after 6 months, basically. And you have to either get out there and do it on your own and move into sober living, but you're still sequestered. And if you're going to walk down the street and see someone smoking a pipe, and I live downtown Toronto, there's pipes everywhere. I have to be able to look at that and go, okay, this is part of life. Now I have no trouble. If someone's in trouble, I can stop and help them. I'm not triggered. I'm not going to worry about I'm going to grab a pipe and run home. One thing that sober has taught me and what I've learned is I might be able to help, actually. I might be able to do something. And one of the things I've heard a few people, I was walking home from a book club. Yeah. So I was walking past Casey House and there was a young guy on the sidewalk. And I wasn't afraid of him. And of course I felt sorry for him. He's cold, too damn cold to be on the sidewalk. And I stopped. I said, "How you doing?" And he's okay. I said, "You have to get off the sidewalk." And we had a little conversation about this. And he said, "Why?" And I said, "Because you have to. It's cold." I gave him my gloves. They were very expensive gloves. I really liked them. But he needed them more than I did. They were Versace. And he said, "They're expensive." And I said, "They're yours. Use them." He did not need them. He had a pair in his pocket. But he needed a distraction. And I gave him a distraction. And he got up for me. And as he got up, he was talking to me about how he wanted to be an electrician. I mean, Tina has not killed that desire. And I almost cried. Because here's someone in a position I hadn't been in, but he still had enough desire in his life to want to choose a career. And I thought, if you can keep that spark alive, and if you can find a way to get sober, you will do better than anyone else I know, because you have a spark. You have a goal. And I walked home today with it. I couldn't do anything for him. I mean, he got off the sidewalk. That's all he did. But he said, no one talks to me. Why did you talk to me? And I said, because I've used myself, and I hope if I'm ever in your position, I want someone to talk to me. I wish I could have done more. I wish I could have driven him to a rehab and gotten sober, all that fanciful stuff that isn't going to happen. But he taught me that don't give up. I mean, here is a man laying on the street in front of Casey House in the cold and was still thinking about a future as an electrician. How fucking amazing is that?
It's as amazing as seeing someone and humanizing them, like not dehumanizing them and saying to them, get up, you're on the sidewalk, come on. Mm-hmm. That's amazing. Because the thing that I struggle with is, what do I have to do to myself? How do I have to dehumanize myself in order to step over him? And I don't want to do that. But the cost of stopping is a pair of gloves, but there's also an emotional cost, and it's good to pay it. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's what I learned the first time that you told me that. And I think it's an incredible story.
Well, he gave me more hope, I think, than anybody had in a while. That he was in a place I'd never been. I'd never laid in the sidewalk waiting for my next fix. And yet he actually had more pride in the future than I did. He knew he wanted one day would be an electrician, when I was wallowing in self-pity that I had a good career that I just didn't know how to get back to. And here's this younger than me man with hope in a place that I can't even imagine hope existing. So I think he did more for me than I did for him that day. I have to say, when he said to me, thank you for talking to me, it almost broke my heart that you're invisible, and I've done it. I have been 100% complicit in doing that. I know that. And one of the amazing things addiction has taught me is that we are all one step away from the edge of a cliff. We just don't always know it. Treat them with respect. They're human. They're probably human in the worst position they've ever been in their entire life. Give them a chance. They could be the next prime minister. Better than some we've had.
Some. Yeah. Or president, if they're... Let's not go there.
Let's not go there. When I first started this journey, my very first NA meeting was down in Lower Jarvis. And it's a rough neighborhood. There's a lot of users down there. And I went there because I thought, if I don't stop, this is where I'm going to end up anyway. And I hated that. God, I hated that meeting. I hated those people and everything about it. And I couldn't stay away because it was where I needed to be. And one of the men in the room, he was challenged. He didn't have a home. He lived on the street. He had lost his mother. He couldn't go home because he didn't have the money. It was too high. And he was sober for 6 weeks because he never wanted that to happen to him again. And I'm sitting there thinking, you whiny little prick. Here's a man that has very little, and he is aware enough to know that this is going to kill him. And how do you give up the one thing that brings you peace? I have a home. I have friends. I still have money in the bank, and I'm whining about it. He was sort of my higher power for a while. It's like, if this man is attempting the unimaginable with so little to help him, then I can do this too. And he was sort of, I never met the man. When I left that night, I said, that was a good share, and I never forgot him. It's been a year and a half now. He was always been the benchmark for, if this man is willing to give up, probably the one thing that makes his life worth living, because he sees better in the future, then I can do it too. So for those out there who don't think the NA meetings, who don't like the religious aspect, it doesn't have to be religious. Go because it brings community. And doing this shit alone is fucking brutal.
Yeah.
You need someone to call and say, look, today I feel terrible. Today, it's not that I want to use, but my life sucks today. You need someone to say, but tomorrow it might not. So what can we do? Can we go for a walk? Maybe, as Bradley knows, ice cream is my go-to. Grab someone's dog. Do what you have to. Get through today. Tomorrow's probably going to be better. That's my preachy for the day.
Was that you going to church?
That's me going to church.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, me and Madonna. Yeah. Well, one of the groups I was in, the facilitator said, if you're going to a group, like NA, CMA, or CRA, or any other groups, give them 8 times. Go 8 times. If after 8 times you're still going, this is shit, I don't like it, I'm not getting anything out of it, you have earned the right to walk away. But don't come to me after going once and going, I don't like anybody in that group. Well, you're not there to like anybody. You're there to learn something.
Mm-hmm.
You're not giving them a chance. If you're like me and you're going to a NA group or a CMA group, the odds are you're not going to hear anything you really like. You can hear a lot that you can have compassion for, that you can relate to. But if you start hearing things you like, you're probably in the wrong group, because there really should be a lot in NA that you'd like. The only thing you should like is they're sober for a year. I really want to get there. Or they've been sober for 30 days. I'm proud of them. That's the best you're going to get out of these groups. But they will give you a sense of community. And where else, CMA is very important to me because it's so specific. If I tell someone a story of something I've done in CMA, I can guarantee you everybody in that room is going, oh yeah, been there, done that, or something very similar. And there is no judgment. I've never looked back and go, oh my God, I can't believe I did that. No, I've never believed that for a second.
Do you ever like reminisce about, oh my God, remember, oh my God, like the good old days? Like, do you ever do that?
All the time. Yeah. Less now than I used to, because it just happened the other night. I was by myself, and I just out of nowhere came the thought, if I called this man, he could come over for 24 hours. I could get rid of all of my troubles. They'd disappear forever. They'd be all gone for 24 hours. But instantly followed that was, oh yeah, then you're going to pay dearly for 2 weeks. And everything you worked for a year for is going to get damaged. I mean, I go to groups and I have some, they trust me now because I've been sober for a while. I chair the groups and I really enjoy it. I'm not giving that up. It's not going to go away, but I'm not going to be as good at it. Someone said, well, you're going to forget what it's like to be a newcomer. I'm never going to forget that. I know what it's like to walk in those rooms the first time. It was absolute hell.
And why won't you forget it?
I don't ever want to forget it.
Oh.
Yeah. I don't ever want to forget what that felt like. Because if I forget what that felt like, the man who walked in for the first time today, I'm not going to know what he's going through. And even though I'd be in the rooms, I still walk in the rooms. And I was at one last night. I've been to this meeting many, many times. I know many men in this meeting and women in this meeting. And I just couldn't wait for it to be over. I was so uncomfortable. And then on the way home, I was like, why was I uncomfortable? I found the stories were hard last night. They were hard to hear. People were in pain and suffering. And my thought was, yeah, I remember that. And I don't want to hear it tonight. I just need something a bit more uplifting. But after I thought about it for a while, I felt better. Because I found myself, by telling other people where you are, you feel better. Mm-hmm. It's when you're doing it by yourself that, oh my, that's not a good place to be. So I think you asked earlier, I think the reason I will admit to being an addict, and I do often make a joke of it.
I hope so.
Well, it's important. One of the greatest things about the CMA group I belong to is the fact that we laugh a lot. I mean, today we had 20 gay men all recovering from meth addiction in one stage or another, some with years, some with days, and people were laughing. It was jokes. I mean, we know what it's like to wake up in a stairwell with someone and we just call him Frank because we can't think of what his name is. Frank's a Wieners. Frank's a great name. Why not? Everybody in that room knew exactly what I was talking about.
So funny. Oh, funny.
Yeah, well, you need these in your phone. Like I used to have names, and but beside them was an acronym like G or Grinder, Scruff, or BBRT. And we didn't have a rating system because the phone won't let you do that, but we should have one.
Right?
Oh, yes. Mine was Peter Paul. Peter, I want to see you again. Paul's a maybe. And then Joseph was, I do not want to ever see you again.
And what is the connection with those names?
Well, I didn't know what your real name was. So I just attached that name to a profile.
And how did you know Peter?
Peter was a definite return.
Why Peter? Why that name?
All gospel. I have no idea.
Oh, it's just like names and you remembered that.
Well, I always thought if I ever lost my phone, they're going to say, holy Jesus, the man knows a lot of Pauls and Peters.
Went to a lot of church.
Yeah. Yeah, went to a lot of church. But it's better than saying big dick on BBRT. I mean, that's rude.
Allegedly.
That's just rude.
Final thoughts going into the last days for your 1-year anniversary of not using meth. Not that I'm making too much out of it.
I appreciate that.
We're trying to build it up. What are you like? What's the anticipation? What are you feeling? Are you excited?
I am so excited. I spent the last year, everything I did was focused on staying sober. That's all I cared about. That in itself is a way to avoid life. I mean, I've sort of came to that conclusion.
So interesting.
Yeah. I could have said I couldn't get to work because I was sober. I couldn't do this because I was going to a meeting. It was in itself its own addiction.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now I have to work or I'm going to lose my apartment. And I like working. Working gives me a sense of self-worth, and I'm good at it. And I've sort of been forced to go back to it. So this year, sober is number one. I want to stay sober. I don't want to forget that sober is so easy to give up. It wouldn't take very much to give it up. And I'm very good at playing forward. If I use, I know what's going to happen. It's not going to be Saturday night only. It's going to be Saturday and you'll see me on Thursday. And then I'll be a shit show till 2 weeks later. And this whole shit will start over again. And I'm at the point now, I believe as much fondly as I can remember using, I can honestly say my worst day sober is still better than my best day high. Because at least I'm making decisions when I'm sober.
Right.
And if I fuck the day up, that's on my shoulders. But the days that are good are also on my shoulders. They're not Tina's responsibility, they're mine. So getting back to work before, and I did a good job, and I've actually been back. I'd like, of course, get back into the gym. Is a big one. But I want to work on balance. I've never had balance. I work like a dog, and then that gets frustrating, and I get annoyed. I have no life. And so then I go off in a binder and don't see me for 6 months.
And can also be like a way to avoid life as well.
It's very much to avoid life. Yeah. And life is pretty good if you approach it from a balanced perspective. If you can work, depending on what you do for a living, if you're going to do your 8 hours a day and you enjoy your job, hopefully, or it ends to a means, which is even more important, and you have a social life outside of work, and you're honest with yourself about, I don't want to work Saturday because I don't have to and I'm not going to. Don't. Balance is important. So the next year is balance. Sober first, then balance. Yeah. The nice thing about I'm doing my medallion at CMA on June 7th. It's more the fact that the people that are going to be in that room were instrumental in me being sober and staying sober, and wanting to be sober is even more important. I knew I needed to be sober. I think we all know we need to be sober, but that's a big difference from wanting to be sober. I don't think getting sober is even possible until you want it. Every doctor in the planet can say you're going to die. They've been doing it to smokers for decades. You're going to die if you don't stop smoking. Well, it doesn't get a lot of people to stop smoking.
Well, and dying has to be a deterrent.
Yeah.
And it's not
always a deterrent.
No.
Attention all passengers, Captain Patrice speaking. We've reached our cruising altitude. We're now approaching the second and final leg of our YYZ Balance flight, where Toronto host Bradley resumed the conversation with Brian as they explored the importance of harm reduction and the role of pets in recovery. More compelling stories await. Subscribe to stay updated. If you've encountered turbulence while listening to this podcast, please refer to our list of resources and services related to PNP chemsex in the episode description and on chemstories.ca.